I remember me, Sad Junior, and Gibbs did a tournament, and that stream pulls like 27,000 viewers.
God, dude. Welcome everyone to another episode of Outside the Grind. This time we have the legendary Mountain Kronovi with us today. Crow, how are you feeling this afternoon?
Howdy, howdy. I'm doing good. Feeling excited.
Heck yeah. Well, first I just want to say thank you for joining me for this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We were just talking before we got on here about Gold Rush and how, we had some time there to just, I don't know, get to know each other a little bit better rather than, there's only so much you can do over social media, right? Or even just
Right.
like, even when you do, build a good relationship with someone through social platforms, it's not, this is one thing I've talked about with a few others. It's just a challenge in the online digital space that you don't face in the real world, where it's like you don't have a lot of organic opportunities to sit and talk with someone. Some things that I've referenced in the past is like when we regularly pass one another on Twitch, Twitter, wherever, Discord, wherever, an event here and there. But if that was the gym or the library or, like, I don't know, like the supplements shop, if we were big into that, it's very normal to like sit and strike up a conversation and then end up, going to get drinks, whatever.
Yeah.
It's so not normal in the online world to just be like, yo, want to hop in a Discord call and just hang out for a little bit? Just feels
Yeah.
so
It,
awkward.
yeah. It feels like almost like aggressive. Like it's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to intrude on them. Lots
Yeah.
of people are, me myself, I'm a bit introverted, but I
Hmm.
still get a lot of fun out of like socializing, which is really backwards sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of people's personality just doesn't come through via social media. Like I'm very guilty of this. I come off as very intimidating. People tell me
Yeah.
whenever I'm typing to them, or I'm very distanced on social media, or really
Yeah.
just in general with DMs and things. But in person, I'm way different. Whenever I'm
Yeah.
at like a LAN with people, I'm very outgoing. I love seeing everybody. People can, I can type instead of like typing something and
Yeah.
trying to like really let them know that I'm smiling. Instead, in person, I can just have a big smile on my face, and they know
Yeah.
I'm having a good time. I appreciate their company.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm very much a gestures person as well,
Sure.
and I can't like I can use emojis. Like, is that
Yeah.
gesturing? I don't know. It's not really gonna work.
Yeah. No, a lot does get lost, um, like body language and whatnot, like you're describing through text. And like like I was mentioning before, it's just different. It just feels different in the digital space, in the online space. But that was a big motivating factor in me wanting to start this up because I really enjoy getting to know people. Some of these occasions, like the first land back, like LA, that was a ton
Mhm.
of fun. Um, the Gold Rush opportunity was so incredible. That was like extra fun to me because when you go to LA or at Worlds, you know, there's not really time or space to get to sit and talk to you or get to sit and talk to Rizzo or Nito or Athena because everyone's just running around trying to do whatever it is that they got planned, or they're talking to other people. They're meeting people from the stream, from YouTube, wherever. And so the Gold Rush event was like so awesome because it was just us, and we had so much time to sit and hang out and have like real, genuine conversations about things. And man, it was just it was so incredible. I really enjoyed it.
It was like one of the most fun events I went to,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't as big as because I went to all the lands that existed that year because it was the first year we had lands back. So I was really excited to go.
Yeah.
And they were huge, big events, really exciting. But I probably made the most memories and had the most fun just chatting with people at that Gold Rush because I mean it was not that many of us,
Mhm.
and we actually had free time. But it
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know
that's
it
true.
was like a studio event. It's not like we had extra work to do. So like interacting with fans and going out and doing things and
Right.
having to be more public facing. It felt very, very private, and that's really where you get to
Yeah.
talk with your peers, catch up with. For me, it was a great opportunity to catch up with a lot of people and then really get to know some of the newer faces because I think that was one of the first times I really got to get to know who you were,
Yeah.
what your values were with Rocket League. Really spend some time talking with you, other than like a oh hey, how are you enjoying like LAN, which is
Yeah.
how so many conversations have to go because you're so busy. It's
That's
like
right.
oh great to see you. You chat for 5 minutes and then you see them like a day later, and then you
Mhm.
message them, "Oh yeah, Worlds was so much fun. It was so great to meet you," and then you don't
Yeah.
talk for 6 months.
Yeah. And it was probably a really cool experience for you because Gold Rush has obviously evolved quite a bit, and you were
Oh yeah.
there from the very beginning when it was more of a pro competitive 1v1 thing, and then it kind of shifted into a content thing. So I bet that was really cool. Um,
Yeah, but it still always kept that close, tight knit.
yeah,
But you had some free time, so it was still like I remember the first two gold rushes. It was just an opportunity for me to really chat with my peers who were players at the time because it was very player oriented. And
mhm,
when it became more content oriented, it still kind of I'm really glad it did because the spirit of Gold Rush needs to stay that way.
yeah,
It's just really the opportunity to get to know people better and for people to really be them. It allows people to be themselves a
yeah,
lot more and let that type of content come through. I think everybody's personality really shined through their team, and whenever they had a chance on the broadcast or they're on the couch talking after a win or
yeah.
between matches, and the casters as well, they could really have
Oh, they
fun.
could.
There were so many funny moments that I
Yeah,
think don't happen if people can't just feel comfortable being natural, being normal, like they're not worried about if they're going to be judged or oh people are going to expect me to act a certain way because of the way I talk on Twitter
yeah,
versus I just want to be me and have fun and enjoy Rocket League with everyone.
yeah. So this is called Outside the Grind, and I told you beforehand that while Rocket League and the career stuff is not off limits, the focus of it is to get to know you a little bit more. But I feel like you are such a unique individual regarding Rocket League, where I mean, the nickname the Mountain, like that is, it's crazy to be such a pivotal, critical piece of the esport and what it is now so early on. And so I do want to hear a little bit about, and we'll tie this back into some of the things before this all exploded. But talk to me a little bit about how you got into SARP, that chapter, and then how that kind of transitioned into Rocket League, and then obviously the explosion of the game, RLCS, competitive play, etc. So walk me down that timeline a little bit, and then once we get through that, we'll go ahead and get back to the more personal stuff.
Get to the more the life outside the
Yeah,
grind. Like
exactly.
we're entering the era where there just is no life outside the grind. Like actually
It
no
was
life.
just grind.
That was me. Every single game that would come out. I really got into gaming ever since I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Really young. My first console was like a PS2, I believe. But I was playing Spyro 2 on it, which is a PS1 game.
yeah,
I didn't have a memory card. So I would just play the first few levels of Spyro 2 like every day, and I basically speed run like the first few levels, and eventually I just left the PS2 on
yeah,
for like a week and like
yeah.
100% of the game. That was like my first really like grind of a game, and I just did it for the satisfaction of doing it. And
Crazy
it
how far games have come, right? Like memory
oh
card. What
yeah,
is that?
yeah. Someone's gonna be like, it's like a floppy disk, but it's like that big, and it's like
Yeah,
what? It holds 8 gigabytes or eight something, maybe
yeah,
not even. I can't even remember anymore.
yeah,
It was so long ago, but that was like my first intro into just gaming, and I was absolutely hooked. Couldn't keep me away from a screen. My parents had to be very strict with me.
Did they?
Yeah, like no mobile device. I know every kid nowadays is like, oh, iPad kid.
Right.
I did not have a phone with a touch screen until like 8th grade or something.
Yeah.
Which at the time, I guess, to be fair, for some of my age, I'm
Hmm.
25. That's maybe a little early because the iPhone had come out when I was like in 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But my parents were very cautious with me having a lot of screen time because I was already becoming susceptible to that no life.
Sure.
I love a game. I love a concept. I'm absolutely enveloped in it. It's all I want to talk about. I'm that gamer kid at school that's really weird, that isn't into sports for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was spiraling down that way, and it's fine. You learn from it.
Yeah.
I would never change it. I would never go back and change who I was. I was very passionate. But all of this is so eventually, because I started on a PS2, naturally I went to a PS3, and SARP, the game before Rocket League, made by Psyonix, came out in late 2008, early 2009 for the PS3. And I only found out about it because I would download demos. I had an
Oh, okay.
allowance, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to spend too much on a game. And
Yeah.
if I did buy a game, it was like Crash Bandicoot or something. That was like
Yeah.
I loved that series. So I would download demos all the time, and I would play like every single demo in the store. And I remember playing like racing games. I'd play like puzzle games,
Yeah.
and this Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars was on there. I was like, "What is this?" At the time, I think I was in middle school, and I was into sports. My parents tried to keep me active. They said you had to do something, so I did martial arts. I did soccer in high school. I switched to football, so I was doing something.
Yeah.
But soccer was my thing at the time, and I was like, "Oh, this is soccer with cars." And so I downloaded the demo, and immediately in the tutorial, instead of it just being that terrible, everyone's probably seen the old school footage of like a car just stuck to the ground.
Yeah.
It's very
Pushing
like
it.
if you were just pushing a giant inflatable ball in a real
Uh-huh.
car. It's terrible. It just doesn't work. It's not fun. No one
Right.
likes those. In the tutorial, the car jumps in the air and starts flying around like a fallen rocket. And immediately, I still remember as a kid, my jaw just hits the floor. There's no one in the room, and I have like visible shock on my face. I
Eyes.
cannot contain it. I'm like, oh my god, the cars can fly,
Yeah.
and I like freaked out. And so I would play the demo. You got to play a minute and a half against easy bots,
Mhm.
and then they would say, "Please buy the game, whatever."
Yeah.
But you could just close the app on the PS3, reopen it, and just go back into a match. So I would wait until like a minute 29 seconds, and then close it quickly so I didn't get stuck with them trying to sell me the game.
Right. Right.
And this is like a $15 game. This isn't even like that expensive. And eventually I'm like, "Mom, my allowance is coming up. Can I just get the game
Yeah.
like a day early? Like it's Thursday, my allowance is on Friday." I got maybe like $10 of allowance or something, and I'd saved up like a week extra. And she's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then I proceeded to not make any friends for like 3 years because all I would do is come home. I would do my homework on the bus so that I could get home, and immediately I'm in front of the TV.
Yeah.
And I am just playing. I'm watching YouTube videos. There's these really amazing people, um, like uh, show kids montages. Everyone knows Fisho. He's been around since forever. He's the one that edited the beta montage that went viral. That's the what put me on the map.
Yeah.
Um, Reading forum posts from Gibbs back in the day. Gibbs was somebody I looked up to
Yeah.
in the SARP community because he came before me. I didn't start playing until like 2011 or
Mhm.
something, or 2000, 2008, 2009, 2000. Came out in 2008. I started playing in like 2010, 2011, and he had
Yeah.
been playing in like 2009. So he was like a legend to me. There were all these old players, a year older than me, that were
Yeah.
legends that had stopped playing because the game had pretty much died.
Yeah.
It had the player base for this game was really, really, really small, and I just absolutely loved it. And I would play against people that were much better than me, and I'd get absolutely stomped like 6-1, 7-1. It was
Yeah.
bad. Um, Before Brazil memes existed, that didn't happen until what, 2014. So I'm losing 7-1, and no one's even thinking, "Oh, Brazil!" Like that was history. That hadn't happened yet.
Right.
I was like, "Man, I'm losing horribly. This is bad." But I don't know, I would get beat horribly, and I would still want to play. And I think a lot of it was like I liked the flashiness, I liked the skill
Yeah.
expression,
Yeah.
the mechanics, even though mechanics don't really exist back then. Um, if you really want to see what I thought was a cool goal, if you go all the way back, if you sort my videos by oldest on my channel, which is don't do it, please. It's really embarrassing for me. I shouldn't have told you to do that. But there are some really terrible, like just wide open net, simple aerials that at the time were so cool. And I think it stems all the way back from like enjoying trick shotting in Call of
Yeah.
Duty, which I'm sure everybody wanted to be in phase ill cams back in the day, land the 720 suicide shot off of
Right.
high rise, crate stall, all that. So I wanted to be a trick shotter on Call of Duty for so long, and I don't know. I was okay. I was all right, but I never had any like recording software or anything. I couldn't convince my parents to pay for a very premium capture card because at the time like Elgato wasn't around. Now everybody's got like a $60 capture card.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, well, Rocket League actually was ahead of its time, or SARP was ahead of its time. Had a built-in YouTube upload. You could record from inside of a replay, and it would post directly to YouTube.
Mm.
And that was how I was getting my clips out there. And that just became 6 years of absolute love for a game. I ended up spending so much time. I became a very good player, and eventually Sonic said, "Hey, we're gonna make a sequel, and eventually it's gonna happen. It might take us a year or two." And we didn't hear anything for a long time from them because they
Yeah.
were just kind of head down on the grind, putting the work in. And when they announced, "Hey, everyone that plays the game right now, we're gonna put an alpha for this game that we're calling Rocket League, and we want you to try it out." And I tested it as much as I could. I played every single window that was available. I put in so many hours. I think when the beta builds were finally coming out and I was testing those, I launched Rocket League for the first time and it was actually officially live, and I left a review saying that the
Yeah.
game's all right. is what I said. But it was at the time my review said that, but the game had just released and I had like 350 hours logged on Steam.
Yeah.
So I say the game's all right, and I have way too many hours, but mathematically doesn't make sense, and everyone's like, it's so confused. That review got a lot of attention at the beginning, but
Funny.
it really, a lot of it just stemmed from being into gaming as a kid and
Yeah.
very obsessive over maybe a few genres of games. And for some reason, this game just, it played to every single one of my likes,
Yeah.
and it was really one of a kind game. I wanted to convince everybody to try to play it, but the name was so bad. It's like trying to tell your
Right.
friends to download Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars, and they just kind of look at you, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna close my locker and I'm gonna go to math class now. You didn't hear that.
Definitely not a very good name. Rocket League was quite the upgrade. So when Rocket League drops, I imagine that some of your hardcore SARP community folks were really pumped. So talk to me a little bit about that from the introduction of the second version, which is Rocket League, and obviously there was kind of a like a buffer period between when the game dropped and when like official competition began. So talk to me a little bit about that, and then I promise we'll get off this stuff.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling too. I don't know. This is very
No, no, you're
nostalgic for
good. This
me.
is
I don't get
fantastic.
to talk
Dude, I'm
about
telling you,
that a whole lot.
a lot of people are gonna be listening to this just like tuned in because this is all. The thing is, the game is so much larger now, and there's so many people that came with that free to play wave. I mean, I know this, as a more recent creator that talks about Rocket League esports. There are so many people that don't even know things like Cloud9, G2, NRG era, right? Big three, like, and that's not even, that's way down the line from what you're talking about. So I
Hmm.
promise this stuff right here, people are like, they're super interested.
Yeah, I mean, we'll continue down the timeline a little bit. Game released in 2015, and we didn't even get season one RLCS. Where my namesake was born, until a year later, like 2016. So 2015, game comes out. For some reason, I think I've been watching a lot of Twitch at the time. Twitch was kind of brand new.
Yeah,
Um, in like I started watching like in 2009, and they had just rebranded from Justin TV to
yeah,
Twitch TV in like 2000, late 2008. So I started watching Twitch. I'm watching for like other games content really. I'm just I like games. I like playing games, and I find out I like watching other people play games. I'm on Twitch, and so one day Rocket League, I'm like, Rocket League's gonna release in 2 weeks, and I normally just post clips. Um, for fun for me to show my friends. I don't expect these to be getting views. And I posted more on my YouTube in the SARP days than I
yeah,
probably have ever in the Rocket League era, even though, financially it would make sense to be posting YouTube content. I was just so passionate as a kid about like getting to watch back an aerial that I did like a
yeah,
year ago, and it has 5 views. But for some reason I was like, okay, well, in the beta, I'm going to ask somebody to just edit together a little thing for me, however they want to do it. I was honestly just terrible at using video software,
yeah.
and they didn't have to be a good montage. The music didn't have to sync up with everything, but Fisho's just a legend,
Right.
and he did so many amazing things for our community. He was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll put up a banger," and he gave it to me. I just put it on my channel, and like a week before the game releases, it's got like a million views. It's getting posted to like top of Reddit. It's getting posted everywhere, and I'm going, oh my god. I was absolutely blown away. I wasn't prepared for that, so I said,
Yeah,
okay, well maybe I should try to capitalize on it a little bit. Rocket League had come out over the summer, where I graduated high school, and I was already accepted to college. I was already going to Kennesaw State University for computer science. So for me, it wasn't like suddenly this whole other train track just opened up next to me. Like, hey, you want to do this?
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know if I want to just switch to tracks like this. But I thought, okay, I'll try it. I'll see if I can do both. So I started streaming the day the game released.
yeah.
I made a Twitter account, renamed my YouTube as soon as I could figure out how to, because at the time it was just Steve Bills, which was the name that I had gone by in SART for so long.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, everything just kind of blew up. I started streaming day one. It's like 50 viewers. I'm like, okay, that's crazy for day one. And then day two, it's 300. And then it just keeps going and going and going. And at the peak of in like 2015, really early Rocket League, I remember me, Sad Junior, and Gibbs did a tournament, an ESL monthly
Yeah.
for $75, meaning if you win, you take home $25. That's crazy, right? That's a lot of money. That's at least like 4 trips to McDonald's. Um, and that stream being streamed through the in-game app or like
Yeah.
the in-console app of a PS4 at like terrible bitrate pulls like 27,000 viewers.
God, dude. And at that age at Twitch, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was I've never even gotten close to like I peaked so early and just never I will never get back there.
Right.
It's not possible and I'm okay with that. But that was really eye-opening for me. It was to go, wow, there
Yeah.
is this game I've been playing for 6 years that I've tried to convince people, hey, this concept, soccer with cars, I know it sounds dumb and
Yeah.
it's been made dumb before, but it works. So these guys at Psyonix, they got it right. And what made me go to college for computer game design and development was I was very inspired by the developers at Psyonix. I
Yeah.
said, I want to complete this circle of making a game that gives somebody years and years and years of passionate fun
Yeah.
and really provide that for somebody else because it was provided for me. And maybe one day I get to work there or something that would be cool. It'd be a dream
Yeah.
come true. And now I actually do get to just play the game that they made instead, which is a lot easier. No more studying.
Right.
But to see the game blow up like that really made me happy because it was like all this validation of telling people this is cool, and everyone's like, no, it's not cool. And now suddenly there's thousands and thousands of people watching the Rocket League category. All these big streamers had jumped in on it as well. I mean, nowadays it's like it's very exciting news when XQC is streaming Rocket League.
Yeah.
And it's just coming up a lot more. Actually, funny little tangent.
Yeah.
You're scrolling through TikTok and you get those videos where it's like somebody talking about something, Subway Surfers,
Yeah.
GTA
Yeah.
obstacle course. There's like 4 different things going on because everyone's attention span's terrible.
Uh-huh.
I saw that, but it was a Rocket League clip. It was just somebody in training. And I went, "Oh my god, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're finally mainstream. We've made it into the TikTok ADHD like cut half of the screen."
That's so funny. It is satisfying to watch when you got somebody that can really control that car. Um, Man, that is so crazy. I bet it is just a very surreal feeling to have been there so early on and see what it is now, and how it's a truly global game. You've got competitors from all over the world,
Yeah.
and I mean, wow. I mean, I'm
It,
sitting
it
here and
was
I
exciting.
feel kind of emotional, and you just been telling the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a trip down memory lane, but I'm still it peaked really hard really early
Yeah.
because it had gotten like 4 million downloads off of PlayStation Plus, which was um I don't know if they still even do it anymore. I don't know. I haven't been on my console in forever. But it was like everyone could play Rocket League for free. It was basically free to play Rocket League for the
Right.
first month, and that made so many people try it. And it tapered off a little bit, but there was still so much residual demand and such a strong player base that when 2016 rolled around, Sonic said, "Okay, we're going to make the RLCS. We're going to actually host a pro circuit because community events have been going on since forever, like Rocket Royale, so many community hosted events,
Yeah.
and there was really good competition. And at the time, it was like really the only regions that RLCS could support was North America and Europe.
Yep.
So they did a 2 split format season 1. Our team does very good in season 1 and split 1, but split 2 we kind of have a rough time, and so we go into the World Championship as the 3rd seed, which is really strange. And we happen to match up against the 2nd seed, who are arguably the best team in Europe, and they just kind of choked their seed like we did.
Yeah.
But we end up overcoming the odds. We had a substitute who played out of his mind and practiced out of his mind, the legendary Over Zero, and so me and Latch become champs, and that's season 1. And then from there, it's like as long as you know the RLCS seasons, you're good. You go down Wikipedia, season
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, all the way, and it's really that era lasts up until like when the RLCS X kind of online era begins, free
Yeah.
to play enters, and that to me is where like the chapters are. It's like
Yeah.
the release to 2015, the beginning of RLCS, and then the slow gradual improvement of players and talent and production as well. There's so much like good content that had to evolve to really hype up these players. And now the players have such good help with their content that they can be the best, and they can also do the best content.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much good support there is for players now that want to be in front of the spotlight, and they can handle that spotlight so much better than players that, especially even like me back in the day. I think if you were to go back in time, like the way I handled the spotlight, it was just I missed so many opportunities when I watched, the way like Vitality all handled the spotlight at the most recent major. Like it was incredible
Yeah.
the way that they captured everything. And it was almost like they did it effortlessly. I was almost
Yeah.
jealous, like, man, why couldn't I have been that smart? Why didn't I do that in season
Yeah.
one? I messed up.
um, as part of the journey, though, like I think, and I'm not even talking about like individuals, but just like without, I mean, these players now, and it's the same way with like playing Rocket League, but they have so much like they have so much experience in watching what you did. You know what I mean? Like they watched and they saw how it went, and then they watched the Muffin Men and Cloud9, and then they
Yeah.
watched NRG and Turbo, and now they see all of that and they take all of that information, and then they have, without having to go through those failures, or however you want to, whatever you want to call them, without having to go through those experiences, they get to assimilate that knowledge basically. And it's the same thing like the pro, like when you first started, we didn't wave dash, right? Like we didn't like
Dude, we
half
like
flipping.
barely. I like half flipped for the first time, like on land, like on stage. Like that was the first time I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna half flip and do something good with this." Like, it was so bad.
But like now, somebody picks up the controller for the first time, and that's an established mechanic that they know exists, and they'll learn it probably like in the first month. Whereas you guys in the first iteration of pros were already professional before learning about half flipping and wave dashing, and flip resetting didn't exist at the time, and directional air roll wasn't even an option on console. You had to be on a computer to get it. It was just the players, whether it's like the professional scene or actually just playing the game, or even creators, a different angle. Like me, I've gotten to see so many people do different things, and I pick and choose what I like and what I didn't like. And so the folks that come later, we get that like exclusive, or we get that extra advantage of having seen everything play out in front of us. So you and what you've gone through, your experiences, both your successes and shortcomings have provided a lot of information, and have helped these players nowadays. And I'm certain that there are plenty that were inspired by what you were doing early on. It's funny
Yeah.
because it's actually a Lachinio montage, but you're in it plenty. And it was this montage, and I'll never forget it. It was made by a guy named Mr. Madpie 24. And like, it was just that moment you described earlier where your jaw hit the floor. That's how, like, I didn't realize the car could do that. I didn't realize you could do that with the ball. I didn't realize you and a teammate could like collaborate that in that way. It was so incredibly impressive. I'll send it to you once we get done here. But there was just so many plays in there where it was just like, dang, this
Yeah,
game,
and
there's levels to this.
I know people are definitely still getting excited about montages in the current era for that as
Mm-hmm.
well, except the level is just so
Oh,
much farther beyond comprehension, where
yeah,
even I watch now and I'm going, that's ridiculous. I don't think I could ever do that. And I've gotten to see the game evolve. I've hopefully gotten to contribute in a helpful
absolutely.
way to it evolving, but watching it grow step by step, and I'm really showing my age here for that. It's just been exciting, and I've been
Yeah,
very proud of everybody. I've always been super grateful of all the support I got to be like, kind of felt like I got pushed to the front, and everyone's like, stay there for a bit. And eventually I was there, so I was like, okay, like okay, like move over. It's time. It's other people's time. Your
yeah,
era is over. Like the chapter's too long. Like, come on, it's gotta end somewhere.
yeah,
So now I have all this free time because I'm retired. I'm chilling. I still play a decent amount of Rocket League. I'm on 70 hours past two right now. I'm grinding for some upcoming stuff. Um, I did hit a unfortunate bit of Rocket League burnout earlier in the year,
yeah.
but I'm good now. I still pay attention to everything that's going on. I go to all the events. I'll be at Worlds this year,
Ooh,
so I'm still very invested personally. I'm very passionate about Rocket League.
yeah,
I would never ever want to like leave this community that everybody built. I always want to be a part of it, but I don't have to worry about spending like 8 hours a day playing,
true.
practicing because I have a match on the weekend anymore, and all that stress
Yeah.
is just gone now.
And hopefully you are enjoying your time off. All right, so we had a big chunk there, And like
You
I
name
said,
it.
I like to avoid that stuff, but I feel like you are a very special and unique character regarding Rocket League and Rocket League esports. So I'm so thankful or grateful that you were willing to take us down that road. So let's rewind a little bit. You talked about gaming from 5 and 6, and you talked about a little bit of childhood, but a lot of it was surrounding that SARP. So what are some other games that you remember playing growing up outside of SARP? And I think you mentioned Spyro.
Yeah, Spyro was the first one. That was a big one. That led into Crash Bandicoot,
Okay.
and a lot of those, like even the spin-offs, like Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
Um, I think the sequel to that one as well. Um, it's funny. A lot of the games that I liked were very platformery, and nowadays I hate platformers. I cannot stand
Yeah.
side-scrolling platformers. I get so bored. There's very few that I really enjoy. The games like maybe like Rogue Legacy and like maybe Hollow Knight or something. I'm not allowed to say those games are bad. I will get attacked. But but as a kid, I was really into the side scroller platform. I never, I bet if I had a GameCube, well, I did have a GameCube. I just never played Mario for whatever reason. I don't know what was wrong with me. I did have a GameCube, and I would play like Pikmin. Oh my god, I love Pikmin. I think what made me get a GameCube was Super Smash Brothers Melee, because that was very competitive.
Oh yeah.
That was around the time, the pro scene for Melee is really old.
Yeah.
And so there was still a lot going on. People were very good, but it was kind of like Melee. Honestly, is very comparable to Rocket League in my opinion. The way it kind
Yeah.
of grew up, the way how mechanically difficult it is, and how at the beginning
Mm-hmm.
what was considered difficult is just every day for people now.
Yeah.
But the game just kind of stays the same for like a decade. Like
Right.
nothing really changes, but people solve it more and more and more step by step, and that skill ceiling gets higher and higher and higher. And I mean, to see it now, to watch it now is just like watching. It's like watching art. You
Yeah.
take the footage 10 years back, and everyone's like, "Yeah, computer's playing this." There's no way a human is doing that. And it's like, okay, we'll just listen to the audio, and it's just controller noises nonstop. But Melee was always a really fun thing to watch, and so that Pikmin. Trying to think, when I got a PS3, that was like, I think the first game I played was like Star Wars and Burnout. That's right, the Burnout series. That's where my love
Oh,
for
okay.
cars happened.
Yeah.
Um, Burnout Takedown, Burnout Paradise. My grandfather was really, really into gaming,
Okay.
and whenever I was at home over the summer, and I was like homeschooled up until like third grade.
Yeah.
So my grandparents would look after me and my sister. They would kind of just babysit, and my grandfather was a gamer through and through. He'd play like Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
He had like a steering wheel set up. He like built his own full rig and everything.
That's sick.
And I would just sit there and watch. I would sit on the couch and just watch him play.
Yeah.
Occasionally, he would play other games that may or may not have been E-rated, and my parents were very by the book with the rating thing. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to play a T-rated game until I was actually 13, and I didn't play an M-rated game until I turned like 15, 16, and eventually my parents were like, "No, okay, you're not gonna turn out to be like." They were worried I was gonna be like a psycho or something if I
Yeah.
played a game too early.
That's funny.
Very strict. But yeah, I really think I get my gaming at a young age from my grandfather.
Yeah.
Because he was really into it. He's always been into it, and I would help him if he had problems with a level or something,
Yeah.
whatever. He'd hand me the controller, like, "How about you give it a go?"
That's
And
funny.
if I beat the level, he'd be happy for me. But I felt like I was helping him achieve something,
Yeah.
because maybe he just didn't have the mechanics. The 6-year-old mechanics, the
Right,
reaction time,
right.
a lot better than the like 60-year-old
Yeah.
mechanics and reaction time.
Dude,
But
so
lots of memories there.
so I had consoles growing up. I was never really big into games. I was just so consumed with sports. But funny enough,
Mhm.
my grandfather was also a gamer. He
Oh, no
had
way.
yeah, he had the original Super Nintendo, um, or I think it's called NES, right? Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had that, and he had Ninja Turtles. He had the classic Duck Hunt. He
Mhm.
had some Mario games, of course. But the game that he played the most, and I'll remember this forever, he loved Monopoly. He would just play. He would
Monopoly.
get on there and play Monopoly for hours, dude. It was so funny.
It's like the equivalent of like when, turn on TV and it's Wheel of Fortune, but it's
Yes.
turn on the NES and it's Monopoly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you like Did you ever end up, like, playing a game of Monopoly with them
Oh,
occasionally?
100%. Oh yeah. Yeah, we would definitely go over there and play some Monopoly. I love playing Duck Hunt, like having, you know, I think for me when I was younger, what a video game required of you was some form of patience and stillness, and I had neither of those. I was just bouncing off the walls all the time, and so I think Duck Hunt worked for me because I had like a gun and could like wiggle and move. You know what I mean? Um, because yeah, I just had like an abundance of energy, too much energy, and like
Yeah,
I
you
said,
couldn't contain it. You needed
I
something
couldn't,
to
dude.
to
It's
focus all that
actually
energy.
now that we're saying it though, because like I said, I had consoles. They were more than anything, it was just glorified DVD player. You know, I'm not saying I didn't have games, but I just did never play them. But the other game that I played a lot was Guitar Hero, which is another
Yeah.
movement style thing. So we might be onto something here. But with Rocket League, when I got older, my friends introduced it to me in college, and we were on. I didn't have a console. My friends had Xbox, and we that's the first time we played in 2016. And I think the reason it grabbed me is because it's so sport like. It's not an emulation like FIFA or NBA 2K or something where you hit shoot, you hit pass, right? It's not like that. You genuinely are controlling the movement of the car, and then that is what equals a pass or a shot. So I think that was really what grabbed me immediately. And like you said, the dimension of like not only like like driving but also flying. I mean, that was just crazy. And I have always been a huge, especially when I was really new to the game, but I still am now. I've always just been a huge fan of demos. I think it's so fun to,
Hey, be careful.
dude.
You're
I
getting
think
some
it's so,
angry people.
I know they get angry, but I mean, I have to be honest. That is satisfying. I like the fact that this makes you angry. It's like I don't know. I always just found it funny, And I'm not.
Well,
I mean, I don't
it's like the
like.
mental game in
Yeah,
sports,
exactly.
if you know that you're better than
That's
somebody and
right.
you style on them
Yes.
and they get upset and you can see on their face that they know they got beat,
Yep.
and if they lose their temper, there is honestly nothing funnier. Like, I agree with that because that's the way I was with sports too. Is that if I know I would honestly play worse just to make them upset if it
Yeah.
would.
Yeah. Like, when and there's a strategic advantage to this, but I think there is with demos as well, as long as you're, not just ignoring the rest of the
Yeah,
game.
we don't want to go far too far into trolling.
Yeah, but when I'm playing basketball and I know you're right-handed, I'm guarding the right side to force you left because it makes you angry, it's uncomfortable. And it's a similar idea there where it's like in my head it's always like a 2-for-1. Like it's strategically beneficial to remove a player from the field for 3 seconds. It's just bonus that you're going to get tilted and start making poor decisions.
Right.
So but yeah, I think, like you mentioned, Rocket League it's just a fantastic game that is so good at capturing attention immediately, and then that seemingly never-ending skill ceiling is just I think it's what holds you there. That feeling of progress and pride in the fact that you have worked and you've had to work hard to see progress because it's definitely not an easy game. It seems like one of those where it's like it's either going to immediately hook somebody and grab them for good, or you're just probably not going to like it because it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, and that's probably the first thing people will say that don't get into it. The people that are immediately like, "Nah, this isn't for me." I'm pretty sure the number one complaint is like, "Nah, this is too
It's
hard,"
too
or
hard.
other
Yeah.
people are too good,
Yeah.
implying that
Which is,
they're not good enough,
I mean,
which
fair
is
enough.
fair. Some
Fair
people
enough.
want that easy. The ball rolls in front of them, press A to dunk it.
Yeah.
Press A to shoot it in the top corner, and they want to feel like they did something. It's
Mm.
like, nah, man, you pressed a one button. Like that's that's not the fulfillment I want when I'm playing a game because gaming is a massive hobby for me already
Yeah.
because I'm a bit of a reserved person. I was definitely a reserved kid. I wasn't bouncing off the walls. I had very, very good patience,
Yeah.
which has completely deteriorated over the years as social media has existed. I'm probably more patient as a kid than I am now,
Yeah.
but all the action's happening up here. I'm
Mhm.
constantly thinking. The brain cells are bouncing off the walls,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
I'm stone cold. I'm calm. So gaming was a way for me to vent that energy,
Sure.
and I could think about stuff, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't enough for a game to be too easy. I
Yeah.
definitely, for whatever reason, strayed towards the path of being like a gaming elitist, where like games have to be hard. If a game is
Right.
too easy, it's a bad game. I'm not gonna play it because I don't feel challenged.
Yeah.
And like when Dark Souls first came out, God, I
Yeah.
love that series because I like challenge in what I do. And I think that really applies to just life in general. I don't don't like it when things are too easy. I'm definitely a lazy person, but in a way that I'm going to try to make things as easy as possible for me, but I don't like being in easy circumstances where things are just handed to
Yeah.
me. I'm definitely drawn to competition, drawn to earning what I have, and drawn to working for what I have. And that struggle into success to persevere through that, that is rewarding. That is
That's
really
right.
the dopamine hit for
Yeah.
me. It's not actually achieving the thing. It's like getting to the end and knowing that I didn't give up.
Yeah.
That's what I care about.
Yeah. I love that, man. That's I am finding that right there with running and exercising and trying to take care of my body. It's a very similar thing. It's not like I'm not aiming at this one specific, you know, running distance or running time. It's more about
Yeah, not
like,
like I'm gonna be shredded and it's all
yeah,
you're
yeah,
thinking about.
exactly.
You
It's
know,
more
like
about
that's
that
a horrible
journey.
pitfall.
Yeah. So gaming, obviously a huge part of your life. What are some other interests that you have outside of gaming and esports that you could share with us?
All right, it was good chatting. I gotta go.
That's it.
No, no. That honestly though has been a little bit of a struggle for me trying to figure out what I really want to invest my time into.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, outside of Rocket League, what I wanted to invest my time into were other games that are just as deep.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think it led me to realize I kind of need to invest in something that's going to get me outside, that's going to get me
Sure.
active. I actually really do enjoy music quite a bit.
Okay.
Have played with instruments here or there. I mean, I used to take lessons in high school for guitar. I'm trying to be a little more self-taught now. I'm still terrible, don't get me wrong, but I really do enjoy music. I love listening and paying attention to like the music theory in songs. I don't really listen to very like mainstream stuff. I am
Sure.
definitely have a weird, not weird, but not super popular taste in music. But I
Yeah.
really think that's just because I really like to pay attention to what I'm listening to. And I get in that weird mood where I'll listen to a genre that may not fit what I'm doing. And if I find a song in that genre, I'll just listen to it like 100 times in a row
Yeah. Yeah.
for like 2 days straight
Yeah.
until I can't listen to it anymore. And I just do that for the next song in the list. And if you had to like live with me, it would be a nightmare if you could like hear what was playing all the time because it would just be the same song on repeat for 48 hours like 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Um so I'm definitely a little bit weird like that where that's how I enjoy music, but I really like to analyze it, break it down, look at every single layer that's going on. And there are certain songs that I really like, but it's only for one part, or it's only
Mhm.
like I'm tuning out the rest of it and just listening to like the melody or just listening to the notes that are happening underneath the
Yeah.
vocals, right? Music is probably something where if I wasn't in school for computer science, I would honestly debate like going to school for music.
Yeah.
Like understanding music theory, being able to produce music, maybe not like with an instrument. I'd probably have to also develop the skill. I definitely don't have a talent for playing,
Yeah.
which you would think I would have like the finger dexterity with like a controller and keyboard, mouse, and all that.
Yeah.
Nope, I am. I will try to hit a note and it will not ring properly, and then I'll miss a string, and then I'll throw the pick somewhere because I'm mad. Um, it's not good. I definitely am not talented in that regard,
Yeah.
but I'm very passionate about it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a good emotional release as well.
Oh,
Everyone can
absolutely.
connect to music, right?
Yeah. Yep. Just got done talking with Spuda for last week, and we talked about music, and we talked a lot about how like powerful it is regarding emotion and memories or feelings at a certain time. And you mentioned while you were talking about it how you know you'll get into a certain mood because of something going on in real life, and then that you start to listen to that kind of music, or even try to, like, if you're in a bad mood, you try to lift yourself up out of that with some upbeat music or whatever. But yeah, I totally agree. I love music as well. I probably do have a little bit more of a mainstream style taste than you do, but um, I definitely understand what you're getting at as far as like analyzing it and diving into it deeper than just hearing it. I'm really big into hip hop music, and I think there's a lot of layers to that like a lot of times people don't really dive into,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I feel like I have learned a lot from it. So I totally can understand where you're coming from with that. What about any movies or shows or anime or anything like that?
I'm not that picky when it comes to entertainment of the movie show variety.
Yeah,
I'm not a big TV watcher. I'm mainly just shows and movies. Um, I mean, the only thing I will not watch that I absolutely hate is the horror genre.
Okay.
Like jump scares.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like oh, what are all the classic cheesy ones? Oh, I forget. Um
Like Scream
like
or
Insidious
yeah, it's
or
okay.
yeah, stuff like that. Just like it, it's just not scary and all they have is cheap jump scares. There's no like
Sure.
thought behind it. Now, thrillers are different. They're way different. And those are the ones that make you think they've got you on your toes the whole time, but they're not. It's like they got the string, they're ready to pull,
Yeah.
and they're holding it taut like for like 30 minutes. Like I might do it. And the whole time for 25 minutes you're like, "Oh god, are they going to do it?" And then they don't. And then right when you think you're fine, that's when they do it.
Yeah.
I think one of the movies that really captured I was talking with someone about this when it came out, A Quiet Place, the difference between a thriller and horror.
Yeah.
Just like riding that line of suspense without breaking it, without
Yeah.
diving in and saying the suspense is over, we have now entered the scary part.
Yeah.
You got to wait for the right moment where everything lines up, where everything has to be scary now because of the way the plot has gone. That's what makes me appreciate scary things in movies.
Yeah.
And because I'll just go to like a horror movie, a classic horror movie near like October or something, and I'm just not having a good time. Like it's not that I'm scared, I'm actually just bored
Yeah.
out of my mind. But I'm still getting jump scared, so it's just annoying now. Now I'm jumping on my seat like, oh, piano
Yeah.
goes off,
Yeah.
but I'm just not having fun. But like, absolutely love the typical Marvel stuff. I mean, I actually really like mainstream movies. I really
Yeah.
want to go see Oppenheimer. I know that came out on like Friday or something. I'm very excited for that. Not gonna go see Barbie.
Okay.
Um, maybe I will. I don't know. I know those two movies, even though they're complete opposite ends
I
of the
know.
spectrum, in my opinion, they're like both really in talks right now.
Mhm.
Um, I'm of the opinion DC Comics needs to get their movies together.
Yeah.
Flash
It's
was
a fair
not that
opinion.
great. Um, the TV show Flash is better than the movie, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and I have seen both. Um, for shows though, I mean, it's really just like the sci-fi stuff if it's gonna be like not anime. And
Mhm.
if it's anime, I really only like the genre where the main character is like up against all odds, but he's just got like lots of gusto and the power of
Sure.
friendship and just
Sure.
overcomes the bad guy for no reason.
Yeah, I like that
Um,
stuff too.
yeah, so I'm waiting. Like my favorite one is definitely Black Clover. That's my show. Been
Oh
waiting a
my
long
goodness.
time for that to come out.
I can't watch it. I cannot hear freaking Asta screaming. I just wish he would talk. If he would just speak normal, then I would watch it. I've tried 3 times, 3 separate occasions. I've tried to force myself to watch it because I've got friends that are like, dude, if you can just make it through, he gets better and the show is crazy, but I cannot
He
deal with it.
does.
He
He
just
does.
he just won't talk. Why won't he talk? He screams.
Because he's just that passionate about
It's too
about the
much.
struggles that he has. It was a lot, even for me, even though I actually enjoy stuff like that. It was still a lot for me where I was like, man, I need to get through this. But eventually I realized I was just focusing on him, even though he's the main character. I was focusing on him too much. And if I transferred my attention to all the supporting characters,
Yeah,
that was where I managed to get through the show. And that's where I realized that show is much more than just its main character and its main
yeah.
villain, which is a lot of other shows. And the reason why they kind of fall off, like in the middle, is it's just like a
Just
singular dynamic. There's no layers going on.
right.
There's no side plots.
Yeah,
There's no intertwined plots.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, it really helped that the first anime I ever watched, I recommended, was Death Note. That's like the
Mm,
surefire way get someone
me
into
too.
anime, make them watch Death Note. That one
So
is
good.
great, and that really does a good job of having the main character, main villain, main hero doing a very good job battling each other. But there's so much else going
Mm-hmm.
on
Yeah.
that it gets you thinking. Um, I still hate how every single show on planet Earth that's an anime ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like watching JoJo was so difficult for me because it was just, oh, this has to happen, and then just to be continued. And you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what are they doing every time? They had the worst cliffhangers ever. Um, but I think what really makes me enjoy anime a lot more than live action TV is just you can tell the creators have a theme they want to go with, and there's no like limits on
Yes.
where they
That's
can put
it.
something. If they have a
That's it.
stupid idea in their head, and like some people just can't act it out the way someone can draw it out and do something
Yes.
super silly that makes absolutely no sense,
That's
but
it.
it makes sense.
That's it.
And you get it. It doesn't
Yep.
make sense, but you get it, right? That happens so much more in anime than in live action TV for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that all the time. Like the only limits or confines is just their imagination. They can take it wherever they want. I'm a huge anime fan, and that's pretty much the only media that I consume at this point, outside of like Twitch, YouTube stuff, just to keep up with the space. But I did want to touch on this and tell a quick story because you mentioned horror, and I don't know if this is specifically horror or what, but when I was in sixth grade, me and my buddy, we were going on a double date to go to the movies, and we were gonna go see Exorcism of Emily Rose. Have you seen it?
Hmm.
Okay,
No, I haven't seen it, but yeah,
familiar with it,
I
yeah.
remember all the trailers.
So I am not a brave individual. I am a baby. Okay. And I'm okay with that. I just, I am what I am.
Yeah.
My imagination will go wild. All right. And so, like, if I'm by myself, even now I'm grown and I hear something at night that I'm not supposed to hear, the wheels are turning. What's going on? Is somebody, I'm freaking out. So I'm in sixth grade, maybe seventh, I don't know, but middle school area, junior high. We go, and I promise this is a true story. I promise. It sounds ridiculous. We're not 15, 20 minutes into the movie. My guy friend, calls his mom, bounces. He's out.
He's like, pick me up. I'm scared.
He's
Get me
gone.
out of here.
He's gone. So it's me and
And it's a double date,
it's a
right? So
yes.
he leaves. It was
And
that
so we were
scary.
all friends. So like her, my girlfriend at the time and her, we were all buddies. But we stayed. And dude, I was terrified, petrified. I slept with my parents for over a month. And from that moment
Yeah.
forward, I never watched any scary movie. I have never played a horror game. I have skipped out on haunted house after haunted house, all my friends. And they're, I'm in college and we go home for the summer. So I'm, 20 years old and my friends, they all go hit up the haunted house. I'm like, yo, I'll hold your stuff. I'm not going in. I cannot
No,
do
the
it.
haunted house is a bit much, I think.
Dude,
Even
that
for me. That's
show,
where people like might get in your space and
yeah,
what you were saying
definitely.
with your imagination running wild. I get that. No, I definitely
I
had
can't
moments
do
like
it,
that
man.
when I
It's
was younger. Like if you have a creative imagination and you can't tell your brain to stop thinking about it, you'll
I
think about
can't.
something else. And you're like, I'll think about something random, like a banana, and oh, the banana's a demon in your mind. It just morphs into a demon right in your brain. You're like, oh my god, I can't escape.
Yeah, it is ridiculous stuff like that too. It's just I was traumatized, and there's really just nothing I can do about it. And I've accepted it, and I'm cool with it, and it is what it is. But yeah, Exorcism of Emily Rose ruined me for life.
Maybe I just never found that one movie that really scared me to my
Yeah,
senses.
yeah, that's what it was. Or maybe
I need to go back and revisit.
you were more responsible and didn't watch ridiculously scary movies when you're like
It would have been
12.
harder for me because my parents, again, the age rating thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, rated E for everyone in gaming. Well, what about TV 14? Are you 14 yet, son? Like, no, but can I go to the movies? So it's like, yeah, we're gonna go see like Kung Fu Panda.
Mhm.
Yeah, again. Yeah, again. And then no,
See
we're going
that,
somewhere else.
but I I think now as an adult I may have appreciated that because Kung Fu Panda would not have given me nightmares. At least I
No,
don't
Kung Fu
think.
Panda is actually a go to movie. All right, that's all I'm saying. I've seen that
Yeah.
movie at least 4 times.
So let me ask. You said you Black Clover. What are some of your like a top three favorite anime?
Hunter x Hunter
Okay.
was the one that made me realize I like it when the anime has like a supernatural theme to it, where there are regular people. It's set in like a real-ish universe, but there are
Hmm.
people that are special and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like super powered. And then there's tiers within those special people, right?
Yeah.
That is kind of a main concept for a lot of things
Yeah.
in very popular anime right now. But that was the show that made me realize, oh, I like stuff like this.
Hmm.
It was Hunter x Hunter, and then um, I watched a few other shows like Sword Art Online, but I didn't really stay into that one a whole lot,
Yeah.
honestly. It was cool for a bit, but I kept feeling like they kept throwing like gaming things at my face, and I'm like, I'm already a really big gamer. Like this is almost too much for
Yeah.
me. Tokyo Ghoul was surprisingly
Mm,
interesting to me. I had to come back to watch that. I got about halfway through, and it's definitely got like it's kind of gross at times. Like the
sure.
guy who did the sound effects for that show did way too good of a job, and it kind of unsettles me.
Yeah.
Uh, I actually really struggled liking Attack on Titan, believe it or not.
Okay.
It took me so many episodes. It's almost like the thing you have with Asta, where he's just screaming so much and you hate it.
Yeah.
It was like that, but with Armin. I'm like, Armin is such a crybaby. He's
Sure,
whining about
sure.
everything. Like, just grow up. You're in the army. Come on,
It's
what are you
so funny.
doing?
So funny how
Be
one
a
character could
man.
just disgust you and ruin the show.
Yeah. So I had to get over Armin and Attack on Titan to start really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But top three is probably 300 x 102. Jujutsu Kaisen is
Ooh,
making this insane rise to the
yes.
top of my list. That's been
Yes.
amazing. I saw the movie twice in the same day. Um, and then yeah, Black Clover, got to be number one.
Yeah. I'll have to I'll eventually have to give it another try, and I'll try to deploy your strategy of, focusing on things other than Asta. Or
Hey, but you never know.
maybe I'll just subtitles and just mute it. I'll just read it.
Maybe the dubbed voice actor yells less,
Maybe.
and you could just switch it back later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you're
Subs.
subtitles
Yeah,
or
subs. I
okay?
I
Okay,
find
good.
and I think it is like I think whenever it is in my native language, it feels more cheesy because of
Yeah, a
some of
little bit.
the like, over exaggerations and just like dramatics of it all. But when it's in Japanese, it just sounds so much more serious and so much more cool. And so I've always been able to like engage or like dive in a little bit more deeply and sincerely with subbed.
Yeah, that's the way I am too. Like you just relate to the characters better because
Yeah.
it doesn't sound
You,
cheesy. I think the only show I ever watched dubbed was my first anime ever, so I could get into it,
yeah.
and it was Death Note. And that sub is actually, or that dub is
Not
actually really
bad.
good.
Yeah,
Death Note.
I've heard a lot of
It's
people
quite
say that the and I can't say if that this is like what it is for me or not, but I've heard a lot of people say that the voice acting is usually better with the sub version than rather than the dub.
I agree with that. I can definitely like the intensity is a little higher, I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
But again, this is like you don't actually because I don't know the language.
Same. That's what I
So
think as well.
maybe the emphasis on certain words isn't there and a native
Yeah.
speaker, but this is way off.
Yes.
But I can't tell. To me, it's
Same.
just everything is. I think also the way the voices are done on a per character basis, where there's a lot of distinction between the characters, and so you'll have a scene where a character is like, "Oh yeah, I saved the day," and it's just them, and then someone will yell like off camera, like, "Oh my god, this is happening," and but you know who that character is immediately in your brain
Right.
because
Right.
it's distinct, it's unique,
Yeah.
and that just immerses you in the show even more.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so too. But I can't ever tell because like you said, it may just be like because I don't fully know the language, it's easier. I don't know. Either
Hey,
way,
ignorance is bliss. All I'm saying
that's
is
right.
don't learn.
Yeah,
Just don't learn it.
that's right.
Don't ruin it.
So we'll dive into this one last topic before we finish up here. Proud moments or accomplishments. This is something that I love bringing up in these shows. I think that especially in this online space, um, it's difficult to celebrate your wins and be proud of things because it's very, unfortunately, I think it's very common and um, well, it's just very common for people to, and maybe they're not even trying to do this, but belittle it or it's just I think it's just
Diminish
hard
it
to
or
celebrate and be proud of different things. So I like to focus on this. What are some proud moments or accomplishments in your life? And it doesn't have to be gaming or career related. It could be whatever. What are some things that you will remain proud of as you grow into your old age?
I think the number one thing, and I've realized this is a pattern in my life, and I'm not necessarily liking that it is a pattern, but the way I handle it,
Mhm.
and it's definitely a lesson that I'm trying to learn as soon as I can because 25 is not it's not that old, but
Right.
it's not like I'm getting any younger. So I'd like to get my head on straight and feel like I have it figured out by 30, which is not going to happen. I'm going to try to figure it out by 40, whatever.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is being able to get back up when things don't go the way you plan them to. I'm
Yeah.
a huge planner. I freak out when things don't go the way I've wanted them to. I am the type of person who overthinks everything. And so I go, okay, I want to do this. What are the 8,000 different options and the ways it could go? And I'll think about all of them so that I'm prepared. I don't like being unprepared.
Yeah.
And sometimes life just says, nope, you think it's going to go this way, and it's just not. That's what happened in season one. We thought we were going to be playing with a certain roster, and then turns out, nope, we're playing with a substitute. And you got 1 month to play and figure it out. And the expectation is still going to be for you guys to be the best team at the LAN.
Yep.
Uh, Maybe not like our peers. Our peers are definitely like, oh, this team is going to really struggle. But to the generic fan base, we were infallible. So that all the pressure and expectation is on us, even though we are not supposed to really, we're not the favorites, really,
Yeah.
realistically. And that was really crushing for me. I did not sleep the night before my flight. I was almost in tears telling people like we're just going there to lose. It's just going to be humiliating.
Yeah.
I missed my flight to go to season one that they had paid for because I was late, because I was apprehensive and nervous. I'm like, I almost subconsciously didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And so I was late, and I had to pay for a flight there in the airport so that I could make it. And we ended up winning, and everything was fine. And the biggest thing was just like I wanted to quit, and because I was scared, but I didn't. I still went. We still put in all the practice, even though we knew we had a substitute and we knew it would be difficult. We said no matter how difficult it gets, we're just going to do our best. Once I got there, once I got in, like where the LAN was happening, I immediately like turned into a different person. So I'm just gonna fake it.
Yeah.
I don't feel great, but I'm just gonna fake it. I'm gonna say everything's fine. I'm gonna continue to like we did VOD reviews in my hotel room both days that we were there. I had VODs pulled up on my laptop. Like no one else was really thinking about this at the time. But I was like, we're gonna have a game plan. We're gonna go into it and we're gonna have each other's back.
Yeah.
And I tried to act as confident as I could, even though really deep down it was difficult to do that. And it worked out. And that was really the moment where I'm like, okay, if anything is bad, you can get through it.
Yeah.
And so after we win Worlds, we immediately dropped to like 7th place after we just signed with G2. We just got G2 into Rocket League, and then we just completely throw it away.
Yeah.
And I have to do the rebuild season 3, me, Rizzo, JNAPS, and then we choked that, and that's largely my fault. And trying to keep that together, and finally getting the breakthrough in season 4 E-League DreamHack. That's like the breakthrough. All of this perseverance, all this work,
Yeah.
is finally coming back around. And then season 5, 6 again, huge downturn. I'm doing terribly. Now I go to Rogue, and now it's time to make that bounce back. It's time to persevere and just get through this, figure out what's happening, and try my best.
Yep.
And that's where we get top 4. So my career is very, very up and down, but I'm very much like that in life sometimes as well, where I have some really, really bad weeks where I set myself back so far, like mentally or like physically. Like I just skipped the gym for like
Yeah.
a week straight. And it's hard for me to get into these regular habits. I'm very much like 100% energy focus, 0% energy focus. And
Yeah.
it's not healthy. It's not the right way to do things. And it's taken a lot of time to identify why I do that and to build my environment to cater towards having a more stable approach to the way I feel about everything.
Yeah.
So just the perseverance of getting through, even when a day feels like a 0% day,
Yeah.
just get through it, and work towards like being proud of yourself, knowing that you can get through anything. And having friends to rely on and people to talk to is really important for that as well. So trying to keep those social connections open with people, so you have someone to turn to when you do have a 0% day. Because I used
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
have anybody to turn to, and that was a big mistake. And that's something that I have to own up to that, and I have to work on that to give myself options to be okay. So just perseverance, I think, is a core skill that I'm going to have to work on my whole life, and it's
Yeah.
going to apply to everything I do.
Dude, very well said. I love that so much. I think that's a great way to close things out. Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. It was a lot of fun to hear about you, Crow. That's going to be it for this week's episode of Outside the Grind. We will catch you next time.